silver. And the Rambam in the Morning Nevuchim talks about this, and he says, what was he talking about? The world's supposed to be like an apple of gold and a dish of silver. And he says the following: when you look at the dish from a distance, or the dish, beautiful, but you can't see the apples. Bring the and you see the light. Any thoughts of the apple? Any so what would be the apples of gold?
Yeah. On the surface, studying or seeing it at a distance, it looks, we hear about society in Korea who to study the Talmud purposes, but learning English had bursts into gold.
Okay, so looking for deep silver, the literal text of it, of frontal teeth, the apples of gold for meaning. These apples of gold really turn out to be how God runs the world. The silver, you run this, that, this way, don't act that way. The silver, the golden apples, God runs the world. My mind is right. Solomon says, it's interesting that King Solomon wrote apples of gold and a dish of silver, and apples of silver and a dish of gold. Right? Gold is more beautiful, more valuable than silver, and the gold takes the tech. So, do you have copies of the Chumash? I have a few. I have copies. Otherwise, I have. Just trying to see some of the subtleties. That's the topic for the evening. Try to look below the surface and what is there below the surface. But Genesis 1, the first Genesis we'll know is divided into 6. Translation at each day, the same interval each time. He added on the high. Well, how would that? What would he add?
And there was morning.
Yeah. Let's just look through the text, see how it works. So lots of things. Then there's here Yom Echad. More things. Down to 8 Yom Sheni. Down to verse Yom Sheni. And then look at the 4th day. Begins on 14. Big event of the 4th day. That is not it's the 4th. Yeah.
The creation of the family.
I can't what? Yeah, so what the creation of but the appearance of this. What would say we deal with this spectacular against the Big Bang about logically we know the Earth. We know what we do is the Earth. There's no how do we know the same? There's the clear. There's a great light, and there's only one local entire. Well, the lights would be to speak. There's only one place in the entire universe where the sun and the moon really seem and work then. The Earth, yeah. There's no door. It's it. And obviously, but the reason is that the diameter of the sun is 400 times larger than the diameter of the 400 times closer to the sun, so it works out just nice. That's a divine for some reason. Let us learn a lot about the sun because a full eclipse also makes it to holidays. Because notice that the eclipse of the sun and always occur in the 15th Hebrew month. It's a great measure of the calendar. And my city is in eclipse, and they always happen right in the Hebrew in the I should say of the moon, because the only happens passes between the sun and the moon. So the moon is the opposite. The sun, so it's the sun was in it. So the sun always occur on the beginning. It happens. It's always when the sun happens. On the moon, which marks the beginning of the month. 15th. But we have a problem here. We're in the room. Evening and morning one. What's evening? What is evening?
Sunset.
And what's morning?
Sunrise.
Yeah. Problem? Exactly. If he points out a problem, there must be deeper text. And Ron points it out. Price points it out. That there must be a golden apple in the silver dish, because the sun to the this English, and in Hebrew that way also. But they can't be for me. Hebrew meaning significant, and it's so sad because it's lost totally in the we read the words in mean evil. But there's a so silver dish golden apple for silver. We have the derived meaning. The silver dish happens. That's what evil. We're talking Hebrew here, which can't mean. Guess what? No son. This puts up derived. Why? The meaning of Eruv. Why does an Eruv work? And what does an Eruv do? Exactly. Of the domains. Yeah, this is a derived. When I actually saw 3,000 a week, Simon and Garfunkel counted for Shabbat. The road leading to the Colosseum, huge road. The Colosseum was sitting, and we were a couple of Jews amongst these, masses of Christians, and saying papers, 100,000, which was wonderful. It was, the opportunity. You want to meet. So the media goes back. Ramban points out what happens to vision. The sun becomes, and the root meaning, the golden apple here is mere chaos. But it's true. Opposite is broken. Because the is because what happens when the sun rises, vision becomes clear. So chaos clear. Hard to see. It's not my kind of word to fly with it. But if I care to be able to mess of is not simply the added evoker is that there was but the text which is chaos gave way to order. The message that was clear, equivocal, no character of the state. Order never rise from a system remains orderly. It's orderly, built into that recognizes the order and makes it in. That has to order and arise from a But I'll go back to this. Here we have the ultimate order. We see the human brain and system, and it's so unlikely that even particular people government say it happens, say it happens. So there's something out of the burst of energy. The big burst order and get up in high level of war. It's not like each day chaos. Further look back in history, the previous generations like it was chaos, for example. Until Pasteur, there's still a company called Listerine, and Pasteur enlisted for the German of survived after even was 50% because nothing but German did it. So even a failure, you're like surviving and 50. There's so many in the Civil War in America. And then a few years after the Civil War, Pasteur developed the germ theory. Lister used it, and you can now sterilize. He used acid, and death rate 50 to 60% to us for everything, even late. So if you live in like 1890, where we have, I should say, living now, you want to be whoever I be. I think it was great, but today look back, you know, you think an operation, and then they didn't have anything to kill them. You know, for 10 years from now, you look, people are completely good to figure out cancer. You just do that and the other, solve. So everything higher. So the amazing thought, several they make an apple order herbs out of your abundance. The second was he totally the cake. And both is in the present, and it played out that the order was built into the system. I don't know about how about life. Easy to talk. You teach at HaTorah, so you look out the window, you can almost been right see the dead snake down there. Crystals always look like this. Never looked like if you existed before, or there was a created the physics. You couldn't predict the dead, but you could hydrogen come together to form water, and you could predict that if you bring chlorine and bromine and iodine chemical elements into it and got them to become ions, you know, so they would become ions as opposed to just lumps, and that let the water evaporate, that this would look like, and that crystal Dead Sea crystals, the universe. So let's see Dead Sea, but it's an example here. Bohu, chaos, bohu. There is potential is present, and it's the way it works because it has three bases for every reaction. You can't get it out of the game. When you get something, break even, you can't even go without useful energy. If you lose the energy, you can't and you get the game. Every time you do this or like that, you're moving towards the universe. Stop doing that. The universe closer to its death. We're pretty close to it. Yeah, it was just an interesting nuance of things that typical text that clearly not just when we the origin of Adam, but here Adam, there's some nuance points out that the only physics of Christian stuff in the universe was the first sentence of the Bible creates. So the creation is not physical, they must be spiritual. And since Shana is coming up, do you think this is, in fact, Genesis chapter verse 1, it's the second word of the text. When else creation? Now, I see, as you know, making it the form, God does do it. And create a form that's there. For example, you find the nation not making, forming, which creates the sentence of the Bible, the next creation.
By man.
No, there's no text. No. Yeah, and hung up on the meaning of creation of the. But, that's verse 20. You got animals already. They're different animals, but you still have animals. So it points out creation, spiritual creation, nephesh life. And the same comes again, verse 27. Verse 26 is not said Adam, but verse 27, you Peggy pointing this, does not say God creates et ha-Adam, the Adam. Specific verse 26, verse et ha-Adam, the neshama was put into a specific. So, there's a transition that's spiritual, not necessarily a transition. If you look at the not going to spend it takes a question on that. If you look at the appearance of humans, Adam goes back to, well, what does Rosh Hashanah commemorate? Rosh Hashanah. The calendar. What? We are created. Yeah, Adam is. It's amazing how many people realize that the universe, creation of human beings. Interesting. In another week, it comes 5776. Well, like 80,000 years, 5,006 years. I mean, skeleton. Once beings start to bury their dead, which goes about 80,000 years, you get whole skin. That time it's dead, and the next animal comes along, so skeletons are torn apart. So that this, how can these thousands of full skins and 100 full skins that are completely human in physiology, the morphology, the bone structure, exactly. So that the Torah that Adam is 57, 75 years ago, because you see here is something to show the switch from a being, and Maimonides points out explicitly in the Guide for the Perplexed that beings at the time that were 100% human in shape and intelligence. Maimonides in the year 11, we're digging up better right book that got that fossil in there. There were people, no one was big enough the fossils. And yet that it's when you text, you read the information. What it does is that these beings predate Adam, but they weren't human. According to the Rambam, dated him. I use Friedlander, my father. Modern ones, the older ones. But anyway, get an annotated version so you can start to take it out. Bees, the shape, the same intelligence for a human. They were, how is it defined? The neshama in the museum tells you that people 8,000 years, that 50,000 years ago, people invented farming, and that 10,000 invented farming. And those are solid gads of data that demonstrate this. Okay, it's radioactive carbon. I'm sure you don't know what I'm talking about. You know, there are many clocks besides never carbon for, you know, just shows you that so far 1,000 years living is it that farm get this great how do you get that one if you're 100 you just eat right now guys and gals so in the end the people 1,000 years lamps with wicks 9,000 or weaving 1,000 years the anthropology 100% definition person. And that's when the founder of HaTorah said explicitly, the first thing you have to do is define the museum define a human as it looks like brains in museums. That's anthropology definition. Looks like your brains. The Bible is a person being a pure looks as your brains and neshama, the soul. The neshama changed the world, and it's the 26. Not a say to the creation of Et HaAdam, the Adam. The British, the British Museum actually hates. There's a bit in the not the Science Museum, British Museum, explicit. Add just right first one us at 5,000 years ago, 2 centuries, Shamar 5,500 sociologically, well, the earliest the Robert lecture, my right so far, great writer, which was supposed to be giving lectures, and literally in the word thing, I see it. We had what's the museum final editing of this book, and there was a wall 1,000 years ago. Society changed. Do you guys know how likely that is? Why not 1,000 years ago? But that's was the big. So why 500 years ago? No, that's true. Then I said, made the change. What happened first thing large cities, first time, and then it's invented. Things they the platform goes on, but the change and the curate God it wasn't a population reason. It's the world. There's so many pieces of data up that you realize the chance of museum, one of the leading museums in the world, dates the change of society that the happened. Then it changed the world. The Bible predicts it make changes of being to a human. Dates it. It dates it. Dates the origin of humanity in the world, and that's the difference. Hung up museum 10,000 years ago, and it said people were talking about. That's not a problem. They were not definition. They were people by the morphological definition, shape, etc. And scientific definition. The Bible agenda. the Bible's the Shema. Interesting. I probably heard this bring it up, but it's so close to Rosh Hashanah that one time in one this way the event occurs 6 times. In the other, I think maybe I'm not sure. When everyone listens, there's no given a there's one difference, but who is it said it? If it was some of the people can't afford time. Look, you can get some of the people and just some of the time, and all of the people, but never time with the and a certain event that makes anyone listen, and it would be the shofar. And fire blowing is over 3 times with the identical sound. If there were 6 crucial sentences, we would have gotten 6 different sentences. So the birth today do you see? This is the birthday of the world. We stand. What? Of the world. Judgment. What does it have to do? What's the birth? What is the local question? What is the birthday of the world? What? Shaman. And now it's not in secular. Otherwise, it doesn't. Why? What is happening? Look at Hayom HaTorah being created. Human. It has a lion eating another lion. It's evil. And a lion even is a nice people. That makes a difference. So judgment comes when they're saying that it's growing size. Relates to the Rosh Hashanah, and that's verse 27. The Bible changed perspective of time about twice after the 8th verse. That the 57:75 back of Adam and the 6 are by commentary each 6 days of a work week. The 6 Genesis periods of time. They work 4 hours. It's the easiest Rashi in all of Shas. Day 24. The Rambam exactly the same, and then locks it in and says like a work week. Hours a day, but that's the Rambam points out. So that the days form. The first time of the scissors. We only one, but why doesn't it show? Why doesn't it the first day? How many guys last year kind of stuff? No. Only a couple. Oh, I mean, state Bible. Why doesn't it write no real? So God, the Rambam, the Kabbalah. How the world is. This is the most amazing thing. He says that he couldn't write today. Only time first is relative to second, and there hadn't been a second day. But that's why we see with the World War. Called it the pessimist. But everyone else called the Great War. This turned out it was a second. And to each other because it wastes everything. I in these wars. One of us Fridays and come back. Call it the First Lebanese War. We call it Lebanon. But now I have the painful thing. I fought the First Lebanese War. Of course, there happens to have been a cigar. There should be. Anyway, so the text says one because I had a day. back in the sun. Of course, it's up the year. To Moses on Sinai, came out to 2,448 years. It's another 400 to Moses on Sinai. Times 365 days comes out to 900. But the Sinai, there'd been approximately 9,000. But there'd been a lot of evidence. There's a text. Schroeder, years ago. The text says Yom Echad because the only time in the history of time when there hadn't been a day. Which day? The first. Of course, he's looking for in time 14 those years by. They were cavemen. There was a formation. It was just 7 life about 1.6 billion years. We may stop it from them. Even artists like Richard Dawkins in his horrendous book, The God Delusion, is just an attack on the Bible when it and I listen to it on books on tape when I'm I don't even have to say it. I say it when it comes to the origin of life. We'll talk about this in the world. Attributes the origin of life to 4 describes a stroke of milk, and then he jumped beyond that, and he does his wife say the start of love. I mean, that's it. For the origin of the complexity. Life, the first life appears on the earth very much very formation of the earth, and then it's billion years to get beyond the microscopic size. By microscope, you can't see anything in the microscope. No seeds, no pain comes to about 500 million years ago, in which every body plan appears suddenly in the fossil record. It's called the Cambrian life. It would exactly, and it maps when you look at the first. But on to day 5. And day 5 describes the origin of life. The first number that the bun life with animals, right? And that's called the Cambrian explosion of life. This is, but it's not the Big Bang. Scientific American exact deadline. The Big Bang of evolution. Every plant that exists today, every phylum is called, appears in the blue. There's no understanding of what. And after coincidence, you really whether something's going on because the number of coincidences happen more from our own time. I don't know if I have it here, but the idea of coincidences, the fact that in the Gulf is in Iraq, for some reasons, very few scholars. Journal is one of the peer journal science. It's published one of Beckett. Here's the other. It's one of the 2 most peer-reviewed science journals worldwide. Coming to publish nature is a big deal. Ran an article for the first ever study so It's interesting. They didn't even have to say Israel. We're so many countries in the world that didn't have to say casualties Israel. Everyone knows is talking about Israel. And interesting because 9 missiles fell on the most populated part of Israel. Anyone's killed, person was killed by. They described the disaster after the buildings collapsed, and the conclusion was that the reason so few of these were in other words, it starts by in our time. The just had MIT published an article. Why were the Jews killed by the missiles that now it's not 1,000 kilometers away, it's tens and hundreds. Why? So it's the exact same. And it's just an example. While ludicrous from in the aid that destroyed Iraqi, and that's about 30 years ago. Okay, and Iraqi radar SAMs and anti-craft. So you're pushing the button, predicts the you're running, and then it locks on to you, and then you're locked in. God forbid. There's no way this happened. So what did happen? These it was 16. Couldn't fit. Could do it anyway because the F-16s on the 70 air. So there's no way there and back. In fact, the time we made was running. That's not true because your fear was these gotten your guided missiles. In fact, Elon, the one of the 9 pilots, he was the only one who wasn't married. He appeared and was playing. The most dangerous. The was a surprise. It's going to be a surprise by the time we figure out together. They of Aqaba lot, where Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, all east. It's a 40-minute even in the chain there to the reactor. It's real hot. Happening hot. So Hussein wasn't going to get out. He was dead. This noise disturbing his after. And what is cover? 16 with arms on the window so big, 2,000 pounds. So he immediately calls his off. In Amman, message came Hussein, and also in Iraq. Almost message got arrived. But look, now the planes are flying in, and they're in the radar of where the Iraqis could see them 20 minutes time out, blocking on. How could it be? Perhaps was the soldiers, the Iraqi soldiers manning radar, which the soldiers, it's the afternoon now, time for our afternoon lunch. They turned the radar, according to the later, the radar went to have lunch. You know, we have a look at the Esser here, you know, the meal between breakfast, and then they have a look at 15. And then they turned off the radar. All the bombs hit perfectly. And in the debriefing, which was reported, it's just such a beauty. So, goes on and the head of his seat flying back, one of the pilots Shemish, you're in this whole God entering the world. The head the pilot was his father. The pilot was his nine. Everything is well planned. If I were religious, I would tell you it was God. There's such knowledge of God. Always chance and chance. If I were religious, it's the hand of God. I believe there may be this. But I would say, I don't think there's a non-religious person living in Israel. I think non-religious in Australia 4 times salary because we just love Israeli. A taxi cab yesterday, vacation. Both talk Israel to do with it. This belief is embarrassing all the time. But okay, so back to Genesis. We see this idea of seeing biblical perspective of time in the beginning, looking forward.
Schroeder, one small phrase, because when you mentioned the guy, they're concerned that they play the cards.
I think
I'll give you an example. Trenches during the Civil War. Stonewall Jackson, third, the Confederate Army, Section 3rd, down come to the Union. And at the time, you at least dozen soldiers who actually were able to even go by because very travel with I was drunk all these men. The Confederate Army surprised probably war for at least 2 years. So they haven't got it. So that's the question.
Everything they why don't know? Because of the flow. I understand. I think I know proof. I say God is always present, sometimes controls and sometimes control. And how do that in the sentence Genesis chapter 1 or the 27 sentences being the creation of Adam? Sentences. Like we had 50,000 words. No, nothing. We get 27 sentences from the creation of the universe. God runs the world. So here's what I understand. Right, 6 verse 7. It's 10 creations for the world. 6 verse. Right, look, there's an there's no harm. There are 3 English meanings to know the translation. Regret or repeat. Them are it's for meaning. There's no harm. Same word. The book of Samuel, chapter 15. If uses so, Samuel Saul became. God has chosen this and Saul God. And the same phrase significant. The word is always exact in the Torah. Not the chosen. Chapter 6, 7. It's I read the animal. Couldn't God not? One of our students said it on our because the card meander reaches some of course meandering depths back present. It gives us right the free will. So everything has a little free everything, not just people, not just ordering and MS. And when the world is offered too much, his students say it's a fact that 9 the idea we're allowed the idea, and these and you can't see the trend. Adam, Noah, and this is Noah. Like 9 years, never couldn't they technology could juggle it. It's built into the chromosome. You can juggle it. You can't do it. Do it. And then people living to 900 years now in modern living out all the person has genes with that's 10% of the people mentioned. That means with the gene, so span conditions here. So this one that mentioned is science. It's called population. Everyone's to 900 years, but there are people 10% of the population that don't. God step. Here's the chapter, verse 7. God says, regret, repent, reconsider. And this is the reason. So I think of sometimes it's God, sometimes God always there, but God is being 40, 30 minutes to kill Hitler. People next to were dead, wounded, survived. If I take pieces of death, I miss all conclusion. Is it luck? God. Hitler understand, but it's the reality. Attempts to sitting next and kill. I'm throwing.
So, what's the like this or the divine intervention? I mean, what's the standard you usually say this is divine intervention? This is.
I don't do see 10 generations go by before stepped in, change it. What was what happened? You notice the lifespan gradual. These are numbers birth death. The same. It's part of the seed. You know, take to drop that. So discuss the climate. Thing in the modern select for jargon.
Everyone agrees. Intervene. Well, I think you modern that God had to do an example. It's our divine intervention. Like God's story is not situation.
I have no idea. I apologize. Yeah, no. I'd be selected if theory of America really helps happening to administration. The fact Americans won the revolutionary who was a quirk army was surrounded in Brooklyn. There was actually the truth of error. Concentrated. The Germans were. I mean, they were groups. The Germans were coming, escaping. You had the East Pacific. They could not escape. That night, Washington was camp set up. He moved over to the cross, and then forth back with boats, with cannons, with horses, and muzzled the. But the cross time happens just before dawn. Fog sits in the letters home. These syllables have been the hand witness. The fog set in heavy across the longer park where they were. It wasn't either, but really clear. On Long Island, rural, across New York. You can't see. I'm not exaggerating. You can see from. But it's here. Said, you know, how could it be? Ask people the fog lifts. Yes, you have the saying the people were saved. Like the soldiers said, my religion was embarrassing then. I wish I had a way of. Do I think that God kept Hitler alive?
The one thing, in other words, we know whether it be a blind event or what you're looking at in selective adjustment and population. One is we have expectation. God didn't. The problem is we don't have tools. I think we have no tools. And this, it's interesting. It's like you can say are we obligated to give like a suda meal to a thing of food? Definitively no. Corroboration. It's very difficult. It's like you said, the revolution, and then because everybody wants to, that one time I was on the cross time places and a miracle. Just simply I didn't know cause and effect. That's why the car.
So you have the option of, I guess, got into. I think, yeah, you see this. Yeah, there's one of the more examples. Jump ahead. Yeah.
We every time we mention divine, is it half of the Jewish people? We say for the sake of whatever it is, divine intervention, but who says God? I mean, the Confederate, there was a Jew. I don't know. Say.
That God, I think that's my push point. Deals with push points.
Yes. Should we be?
Where we talk temporarily, we sing it. So how's it?
Should we believe that this appears to be for us? We don't see any divine intervention, or should we only
downstream some example where some think America is actually related somehow to us. That's what Obama's trying so relationship. Was it by chance that Harry Truman had Jewish, in his haberdashery and eventually bankrupt, and he and Truman and child, it said Truman's mother would have Jew and took him to grow up. Right, so they had to sit on the porch because allowed it. And he was the first that he says that the Jews. So America was the first person who was to against the State Department. Immediately, even though he was counsel waiting to the war. How do you know true? The United States say, but your court look at the history of America. Very bizarre. Just for example, like using Exodus 14 for strong blow or not. Blow to the wind with the sea. That's the question. First of all, okay, and very interesting. If you put this for your head for the only in the entire Hebrew Bible where the Hebrew word is Yah, to read some translated as the sea, but the Hebrew is the sea of place. The phrase Numbers 9:26, the first book of Kings, chapter 9, verse 26. I just said. Is that the number? Say that? Or listen. Anyone was listening? Yeah. Interesting how your brain changes just like that. Your parents are manipulating. Because you learned, laid down that I asked you to remember 1842. Is that what I asked? You see, your brain has changed. Your brain changed. Physically, there is a change in your brain during the 20s. Your nerve moved in a second like that. And that's right. That's the extraordinary fraction of it. Doesn't take a second. For one I'm going to leave out. Okay, your brain's going to have to know the secrets. I'm going to count it. It takes about a number to. What doesn't that? It knows it should be 1, 3, 4. It knows it for now in your brain. It's in the 1920s. You'll still remember the night version. That's together on the bank's lot. No, speed of ship together on the banks of it is the only in the entire Hebrew Bible. First book, chapter 9, verse 26. King Solomon built a fleet of the entire that the definition of it. And if it's the word banks and a lot, it's your body of water. The body of water. What's it's like what's the body of the world? It's the Red Sea, which tells you where Sinai isn't is. There must have been no past because it's comes through the sea of reeds. Reeds don't grow much in as high as a region. But either way, could it be could have because the 14th verse God made a east wind. Two signs in the name of North and one in the name of Paldor in a computer experiment. Computer, meteorologist. They put a map on the computer, turned on, they just smile how it would open. It took about 8 hours to open. They shut it comes back like that, like description. That's uninteresting because you hear an apple thumper tell you that in fact it's leading the peer-reviewed meteorology journals, not the Journal of Science, not but the American Society, number 1 in the world for me. They show it in a peer review. 1,000 averages. Right, for 8 hours will open. Look around. Because after the Egyptians go follows them right on in. Who follows the Egyptians? I mean, and they it's a big deal. It's part of it was not a big deal. Is that a hand? Big deal because coming back knowledge. And they acknowledged it wasn't a divine. I mean, I would see the when he says, I was the hand of God. Deeply, was impressed among his colleagues to say it. The comparison 2 minutes ago. Well, it's just an example. This of translation problems at the time, which put in very, very early years. Magazine listed the 20 important of the 20. What I'm saying was that Stephen J. a few years. Stephen J. was the world's leading meteorologist. He proved and that the could not because there was a mistake in the draw. If it were God, there was a mistake. The mistake was in his video. I can quote biology, but my background's not biology, it's nuclear. But he bring his own the Bible was wrong. And it occurs on number 5. Fortunately, school for all brilliant Hebrew. So I was the person who would correct when he That's pretty. The Bible wrong. He noted 20 translation that were abundant creatures and the birds, and in other translations, all fly earth, gold, which the fossil show that birds don't appear. On the animals that are mentioned in verse 5, they appear among the animals that are in 6. So God could have written the Bible, would God group birds in the animals of the 5 when clearly intelligent, and he's one of the best, and it was mentioned that birds here. The Bible doesn't say birds, does it? Does anyone have them also? The Hebrew. So what does it say there? Verse 20.
Verse 20 says, the water team, living creature, and
fowl. Yes, these are fowl or birds. But the text of those doesn't say. So, now, modern Hebrew is a Hebrew like okay, you use the modern Hebrew. What really refers to
flies?
what?
Like
Animals fly. And what were the first animals that
insects.
this map exactly right that the first flying, the first were water. This shows paleontology, and you can see that it's the stonefly is an insect called a coronamid, which is it's interesting. God was on where there's a commercial like something, food going, and these terms which images anus the bottom, putting the stone down, sometimes to eat tasty to it's a rock mature and no way of but when they do this kind of drop the pen I think he dropped it. But they do this right door and he can do that like this and they get to the surface of water allows then they kind of rise the front or if you want to. It was in fact insects, which is deemed because it's kind of like food. You don't like and number 6, but exactly what they find. Chance for people down text they don't know they don't know it's a Torah. There's lots of things. Well, just the first word in the Bible. If you have this, let's see. Here is an example. Your life cycle. The optics is it on between reptiles. It appears that lived here 100 years ago. The perfect the truth of mind for reptiles, and it is that's a scientific statement. It's the Rosetta Stone of the first Rosetta
Stone found in Egypt, the translation Greek and hieroglyphic
and three languages, and it was like a Coptic language of Greece used. The key was the in the Greek. It's found in Egypt. One of the more important stones found. The British suing to get it back from the British for 100 years. Anyway, so here it is. It is an exact match It is exactly bird reptile. Bird aspects, there are only 8 examples of this in the world. I saw it recently in when was there. Pine Glen. These are big barriers. If you get them, you find your toe barriers. Because some crazy's going to come and destroy it. In fact, it's that a character check before you can work. An example. It's against the murder. So half bird aspects: feathered frames, neck bent in death, right? Like the turtles always bent, neck and death. I say feathered forelimbs, neck bent in death, beak. Sounds like a bird. Now, long tail, claws on legs, claws on legs. Yeah, because this is not size. For the only one exactly. You have in the text that will pass your sheet. So go to chapter 11, 18. The art it tells you at the end doesn't translate. 11 laws of kashrut. Leviticus chapter 11 verse 18 says
that's for
you can hear okay. That's the verse number 30 chapter 11. It's talking about colleagues. 30. What was the last word? Well, in the entire that falls into not well, the teaching is mentioned among number 8. And they did mention the piles of trees. Fossil in the entire fossil record, 2:1. And it's part bird. Wow. Now you could say whether, and they're certainly not found at the time of kashrut coming to bed, but exactly went up to teach him, and as a bird, and it's listed as a reptile. Now today we have a tincture gallia in owl, and we have a shemet in the area around it. Something like wrong the idea of a chameleon, but that's much like evening. One animal, and it just be a bird and a reptile, and there's one also. There is also a bird and a reptile.
Okay, just going back on the understanding of beg the question, and here means bird.
The word is it means all animals, all animals.
So, bugs in the kashrut that talk about rather than
Shed its oath. Shed the flying shedits, the flying bugs, yeah.
So you said Archaeopteryx is the fossil specimen.
That is, it's an animal fossil. It's not a form. Transitional like this. Totally bird.
These reptile bird is not from the Torah, scientific say there's no transition from according to evolution from bird for reptile to bird.
The theory.
It's a scale.
It's not. That's the problem. This is not the bird reptile. It has the characteristics and all the characteristics of the reptile. Charm actually the opposite. It has characteristics and all the characteristics of the reptile. That's the problem of the archaeology is because
the classifications aren't really real; they're just man-made.
So because an animal has the character is claws on its hind legs and claws on its forelegs and twisted about here hind legs and the names. I go out to an animal that has feathers. Young animals forget the terminology. Obviously, in 24 hours is 24 hours. Any number. So the fact among the animals that have the same characteristics, they list out this that have characteristics of feathers and the animals and now that's in the top. And now feathers and all claws and teeth, and I'm surprised because it's transitional.
But in the laws of postures, the Torah was including the Archaeopteryx.
I'm talking in the laws of the Torah, numbers of that are relevant to each level of information.
You're repeating that refers to Archaeopteryx.
This animal, then it refers to two laws, the Ten Commandments, birds, so in Rashi's Hebrew until today, the Ten Commandments in the God not where we are, the Ten Commandments is 1,000,000. So for two animals. That is what Rashi said. Never have a translation, they'll say owl and like a command. Exactly. But I just find, but I thinking animal in the fossil record that a bird there's in the text that is split among the birds, among what was that? I don't think that can be changed. That's the of course that they were. There's no that can disappears way before there are people about. I don't want to make order close to 100 years. So see it in the fire certainly relates to this level of issue, but obviously that level of understanding relates to the culture of added invoker. Today, level of media, and that is having the sun down and number 4 the Torah gives us that really means to rise. First word of the text is getting later than we thought it would be. Here in Genesis chapter, once the second rock gets past, Rashi's she's a points sheet, but a sheet requires an object. Of it's the tough at the end makes the so if it's like this in the tree which is in the beginning the heavens the earth and the Rashi down the hill and in the beginning created the earth but it would be but a shown up. Say but a sheet. All the modern thing, like there's nothing new on. He goes through and of creating changes, translation changes it from created to creating. It's just a word, but who gives a who to make it work? He points that there's a meaning to the text, and no one would ever have said in anything in the beginning that had the word. It is totally on us. The Septuagint, and I don't know Greek. We have a very, very close friend, then Professor Schwartz. He speaks about in biblical Greek. So when you look up Septuagint, Google, and you show Greek native language, you'll find it in the God created the heavens and the earth. It is the text. It was the Jewish scholar. This to me, there are different errors put in. For instance, the text actually God heavens and earth. What's an obvious example of deliberately changing the text to make it Greek friendly? In the beginning, it's in the earth. What's the
It implies one to
yeah, exactly. Because the Greek held by universe. If there was no God's revealing how works. God's return to make it friendly. Errors. Never. Beginning, I especially coming down the heart of this, but the synthesis is the same. Rashi says throughout the meaning of what the text verse Proverbs 8, the 8th Proverbs. If you have Mishnah, it's a chapter, the 22nd, the 23rd, 24th sense. So if you can find the Proverbs, Mishnah, the 8th chapter, jump to verse 20 and 20. You can find out what the meaning is. Chapter 1, which is a match. I'm not a quantum. I work a lot of physics into that. I'm not a quantum physicist, but I do read. So, Mitchley, have it there?
Verse.
Chapter 8, verse. Rashi says, correct. On and this is the first proverb. See that God gave me the beginning before there was. It was this odd person was present when the earth was, when the heavens and earth were there. But Rashi, by the time we got to verse 22, the first 21 verse, which makes up some verse 12, verse 12, the first verse here. And wisdom. Not one, it doesn't say it right. Chachma. Right? Not any chachma. Yes. Sorry. It means I am wisdom. Like I am Yahweh speaking. I am wisdom. Wisdom is speaking. Now when you put that into those verses there, you get exactly what this translation. We have it in this translation. In the Jerusalem translation says wisdom, God heavens and the earth. But with wisdom was something called God created. The first wasn't creation. The first creation I am was wisdom. So the Chazal called it Torah. We got the wisdom on earth here. Hasn't God's wisdom exceed Torah. But we get Torah. See, wisdom. Then it goes on the verse that God wisdom is God's way. Before there was earth, wisdom was present. God used the word wise. That's what it's saying. God used this substrate called wisdom to make and says complete day that the substance of the universe is infinite. Here, mind, that's we use wisdom. Says that the universe, of course, we're in the physical universe and our bodies are in the universe. The essence of this is total ethereal, across the board. We just, that thing was discovered, the God, where the particle was found. It's called the God particle. Anyone hear of it here? No? Yeah, I mean, it's actually called, that's really called the goddamn particle, but the publishers of his books say there's some more copies of the particle. He said, why we be able to find the goddamn particle? And then they change it to God particle. Why books? You never see things you get rid of further. Nothing is the laws of nature, nothing of God in the world. The physical that we see, all physical, totally nothing. It's metaphysical. I believe it. It's really our level. The deeper is that there's a substrate called wisdom, that the substrate basic end of the creation is that the physical is the expression of. Anyway, we're getting something really the beginning. God created the beginning of physics. If you go to advanced physics and you discover that information is the substrate, you're annoying. Find the Torah exactly that. And that's what the Jerusalem translation is B'chachmata. With wisdom, God was the best. Genesis. Ba-reshi, with a first cause. Ba-reshi, wisdom. Sheet. And then what was the sheet of wisdom? The first cause, wisdom. Translation. I'm quoting it from my science. I discovered again that the translation that we have goes back 1900 years, is that wisdom, but wisdom, the first wisdom God created everything. That was physics.
So why would it impose stress?
It's not the first that question. I would just assume that he could say either former time or that the East was considered one of the origin. I have an answer for that, but I do know that the Mukubalim translated it in translation. And that's about the same time as Othos, actually. So anyway, that's it. Go ahead.
Sometimes.
Question.
A few. I don't. I just wanted to clear what you meant about the year versus the lifespan. Longer advantage, reproductive condition. Totally outbeat the short life.
It's just a bad idea. Level you have, you think of today with frightening apparently. It's just not a good idea. God changed. Presses the department life. Logic would think, and then that's clear. It's for to teach. Now, whether never get hung up, as I said before, it wasn't the argument. What the terrorists do, they couldn't forget that. It's in the text to teach. System, of course, that God lets it get because it's 10 generations. God was around those 10 generations, and then
Okay. This question, I guess, is kind of based on a few, perhaps, so that it might just be a clarification. But we mentioned that there were plenty of other before the Tzelem was given to Adam.
Rambam.
Right. So they were existing with other still remain form a human being.
I truly
Remember that.
yeah. See, the Talmud was very certain. What he has to accuse these books of some of these things. So if you read, so Adam leaves 30 years before Adam again named Seth. Here's a superfluous word his wife named Seth. Superfluous word. Who his wife named Seth. Why? Well, you read chapter 5 verses later. Chapter 5 verse 7 live 130 years and have a kid named Why whose wife is with he'd have sex with his wife and lose wife again. Why 130 family? The forbidden the kid kicked out of Eden. The parents one kid murders the other. 130 years. But anyone of men wasn't hanging around for 30 years. They weren't. So they have sex with these. It's not a joke. That's a text. Read and the doc said, and it's the doc. We were talking about. Say banim mamash. They were actual children. They were in the banim. What is banim terminology? Right now, what about the genes? It's a human. Okay. It wasn't because little Maimonides comes home from school to the museum. Hey, man, like that. Because little Maimonides didn't go to the museum. Guess what? They are 90. So it's in the Adam knew his wife again after 130. And I would say, since you guys, I would say my man was surprising we got this far. But I'll tell you, verse 20 move it. That mind into the world is feminine. Everyone, the Bible, you have the Bible statistic, but it's no. It talks language that is totally meant. Moses in Christ says, he tells to the it's right before the giving of the Torah, so it would be about 15. He says to the congregation, to the Eidah, don't come to the Eidah. Don't come. So who's not to the congregation? Don't come here. Who's not? What doesn't say that? Moses says. In view of the still have things right. Women, and I can tell you, we have a died ago. I wasn't. I think it was either. I think it was or Iraq. We were mailed down Jewish history. How was it? Gurua. That's what it is. That's these come from the Arabs in these, but it's so that it is. But a divine world is full of glory. Has this that makes it's point blank. Don't come here. I mean, I apologize for saying that. Most every divine put is feminine. The word nephesh, the word nish is feminine. It's feminine. The word Torah, God creates for God. Definition. Which in the word kabod, all feminine. No masculine. He puts get married. And tell your wife that, and you tell your wife every time you start out like a jerk, because men act jerks. Spit that to your face if you remember. Preload it into her, because she may not know that. Maybe because, certain marriage, if it's a for also, it's like marriage. That divine feminine, it's human to overline. Yes.
It doesn't matter what happened or didn't. Those are what you were saying.
We'll say river flood from the Ketz, the local flood. If you look at the word, but I don't have a chazal on that, so I don't like to use it. But if there's nothing from me. Talks in that art, you're good.
I was just worldwide evidence for a worldwide flood and mass extinction, and
There are, but
not entirely anything of the end. But so I'm saying, flood. What is your recommendation?
well, one way is, and it's not my idea, but again, this woman, Peggy Katz, also, it's the create Adam, verse 27, God creates et ha-Adam. It's the flood. The flood roof. They're 7 apart. It says, I'm going to call, I'm destroy all about the face of fire. There's no, unless the Bible is fine. I'll take the fact that there's a chance that the Torah changing, because I never why. One time, entire account, which is the Panea mentioned, and then it's a medium modified by Panea artists. Now, Panea from later is low. How do we know that? Because where was famine when Joseph's people came from artists? They didn't come from Ethiopia. It was a local famine. All of Chazal tell us there was a famine in this area. Okay, so artists, a flood was local. I'm not surprised entirely that the flood changed the flood from the face of the Adamah to the artist. It's the face, and I be right. Unless it's just an editorial in the New York Times. Take the Bible. From some.
And similarly, how do you feel saying people flood lived near 1,000 years, although you say it's possible it could happen in the general understanding
All the funds. Yeah. Oh, so mentioned, we may not have found the 10 funds if you want to have it that way. I mean, you can have it. No, only teaching to be thousands of funds. Also, really, 50 years. Just in some. So I can out on those 10.
Wherever 10 being 1,000 years in lifespan, nearing event.
And
so,
well, writing what distance? Miraculous. Distance.
I don't mind something that's miraculous, but I'm saying that is really possible in a miraculous. I don't science.
Oh, it could be by the nature lived 900 years, and if you change the metabolism, and another way to tell at the end of the chromosome that takes, then have living for those times. Actually, have that. It could have happened. Split God's nature that happened. God needs all that to make the seed turn marble.
Just. I mean, it's not. I mean, here's what the percent for HaTorah. Okay, so he's explaining someone is Yaakov. Because that time no one was Yaakov's age. So it's like someone that's like Yaakov, such a long life, that old. So you see that you could phenomenon except for people outside of everyone very relative to that in younger age.
There's still
An anomaly. It's an anomaly.
I would ever make the statement that everything explained It's not absolutely not. Say that things called miracle. I mean, the big would be why is the forget the earth? Why is anything? That's the major question. Is there not people anything?
So a question would be, is such a universe is strictly 5,000 years.
Yes.
6
Torah. That also.
you feel comfortable taking somewhat metaphor or
4 hours each. The website. On my website, and you get what's to God. I pay right there 20 each. All of his homes, like the 6 hour work, the hours, and also 8 times 1 point out. Text because there was no point in 6 days of then the bunches at the soul that from add terms. Live X was easier. Have a kid named Seth, but it's okay. Fully absent. These 2 description perspectives, and the Ramban points out the reason one. When he first oversees time from the beginning, looking forward. Now, should that matter? It matters totally. Does any astronomer view perspective that is not exactly on top of the event? The galaxy be a million light years away. So the information of that was space, time expanding. I want to know what the phenomenon was like back on the to me because I can go back in time to get what I get to see where it was that information trapped the static and expand information actually stretched out means skinny on fat. It means that some day in time the factor of 2 would look like 2 days. And on my perspective, 2 days time. It's the phenomena activity. The fact that the Ramban saw that the view of time was at the beginning looking for astronomy today.
regardless if you say it's metaphorical or not.
Metaphorical, okay. Literal.
There's definitely the text that portrays a deeper meaning than just a simple reading.
That's what the Ramban.
My question is what to apply meaning you cannot.
I just I use
Just
or if the Ramban said day the second day, I would not have come up with it, which was the entire year. It was the largest science. The year it came out, it was the largest selling science book worldwide. That's science and God, our science.
so
Science.
it's not just
When I took the flood venue, I said point blank, have a speculation, but it does say Pnei Adama and then Pnei. That's the Torah. Does it change?
Last question. Okay.
Right, so when it says, I guess my question would be, we say that the ordination is kind of like this.
We mean every life.
Development of the universe. And the development, I guess.
Well, I mean, have energy contained I can into matter and extreme. If you knew that the elements form in exploding stars, oh now it's only and then finally you end up with energy galaxies. You get the planets. Well, now I see you're pointing to something, so you're about to ask me a question. Okay, you get life develop
that it just kind of bothered me a lot, and I don't know if and then comes the whole thing with
so the top earlier, it's visible. That's what's interesting about geologically. That's exactly what happened.
Still occurring even.
I have actually met. No, the sun was there, but it wasn't visible. That you read deep, how could both Rashi and the Talmud tell us the sun was there earlier when the text is explained on day 4. The sun becomes visible. Okay, so now on day 3, and we know the case. Talking about if I hadn't already said Chazal, the sun was there earlier. Geology, it's a dual doctrine, okay, bizarre dual doctrine, but it's, and then the Earth, life starts almost immediately. Ramban that the vista of the plants that are is an ongoing. They don't all to God do. Could you have photosynthesis in an atmosphere where the atmosphere is so heavy that you can't any of a star or surrounding literally photosynthesis of oxygen. Days when it's so overcast, there's light, but there's no over in the cloud. Like days when it's completely cast, but it's like to get, but that's right. It's the algae just pumping out oxygen. So you cohere, visit. So I with the rock. So it's plenty of photos, and then gradually by day 6, the sun, the Earth cools. The Earth is molten, high vapor pressure, cloudy day in London town. There's and these 2 great lights because the timing on day 4. Calculation of the ages, you can calculate when each day occurs. In fact, on the site, but you don't have to in the book so that it is the lifetime of day number 5 in which the Earth atmospheres because it's pressure. You can actually get lights.
Plants can be for any light in the water? Or
No. It was the sun was.
I don't know.
You don't be visible.
Yeah, I've heard. I don't know if I'm not sorry, but light started, and if light starts in water and life in the water doesn't start until
Animal life. Animal.
It's not. That she doesn't say
Animal.
like that.
What? Sure, it's nefesh. It's the animal. That's what the text is so amazing. The animal life explodes. It's called the Cambrian explosion of life. They actually have a fossil from the Cambrian. Sure, that's life for the Cambrian. The Cambrian is just. Where is it? You say those air, water. Darwin knew about this. Darwin attributed the origin of all development of life to God. And then it's Darwin gets because of quoting literature. Here I'm closing chapter. Darwin, he said at the beginning also, species, this book that Darwin. Okay. Here is Darwin using line. These species quoted in Pacific American, most major southern in the world, not peer reviewed. And it's golden and quoted in the Museum of Natural History has seen that's like that thing. Quoted. Closing the orchard. It's a great view of life. One on site fixed from certain forms most beautiful and are evolved. Again, this view of cycling life of a. Here's Darwin on Darwin. Here's a Darwin. It's a great life. It's several powers having been originally believed later into one, and while the planet's gone cycling life around, which has originally by the Creator into a few forms of one. Darwin realized it didn't happen by chance, and that he was told Darwin and wrapped because of Huxley, Darwin's bulldog that was publicized. He kept it. If anyone is going to put bestseller list, you're going to say, "Oh, he's really one." The origin of the life. Read so much for Darwin. Anyway, that was it's not like other talk actually like wow 14 billion years and 6 days, but chapter 1 for this for said they first cause but they first that ray sheet is straight from Rashi array of God meaning of his ways. I read philosophical writings, major quantum physics that includes across the board, all exactly the same thing. The world enroded entire form is the manifestation of information, and the reason that we think it's solid is a wave particle. Everything in this is a wave, and everything in this particle, the same possible particle. The wave is, but humans are locked into the particle of existence. We perceive the wave. If we perceive the wave as we would see totally different. That was a shmear. But we don't see it, but everything is a shmear and also a particle. And it is that which leads to many, including the first not and
thank you very much. Thank you.